Hey guys, so yeah, this episode more or less it was kind of fucking insane, or at least the ending of it was for sure. And one thing I love about this episode is that while we are seeing the rep, what is that while we pretty much were seeing the reputation of Oden and Kozuki to continue to fall from grace with the people of Wano, I like how in this episode we were basically seeing it from the perspective of the Yakuza and Nine, and how, and more importantly, how they they and a few confidants like Yogoro were pretty much really the only ones fully aware as to why Odin was doing this to begin with, but of course they couldn't say anything because of the metaphorical and sometimes literal gun being held to pretty much the heads of the people. And just getting this perspective, I pretty much feel not only adds all the more to the tragedy of just how much they all sacrificed to protect Wano in silence, but also how after Orochi threatened Kuri directly, did Odin did Orochi really give them like from no other choice but to act because at that point the Yakuza were given the Yakuza had pretty much no other recourse and had no other recourse and pretty much no other option at that point. So, and because of that, it was honestly the perfectly laid trap. Kaido threw them out like it was a thing where pretty much Kaido had pretty much intentionally drawn them out into this fight in a way where he knew Odin Odin would pretty much have to would end up deciding in order to protect what little he has left. And in that regard, it is stuff like this that makes me say Orochi. Like obviously Kaido is a badass villain. Don't get me wrong already, but it is moments like this that make you say that Orochi is Wapol done right. While he basically he is taking orders from Kaido in a way and Prince has a very diminutive form. He is also shown to have a much have a very cunning and to be just as cunning and manipulative. So and that's not even including his devil fruit. So like it's basically the complete antithesis to what pretty much Wapol was to me. Like Wapol I could not take seriously, but like it feels like Orochi's everything that everything that pretty much Oda had wanted to do with Wapol or something like that, or just didn't. I don't know, but yeah, like again, whether it's Kaido or Orochi, like both kind of need to be credited for just how well they manipulated this situation, frankly. Um, Now, one thing I really have to get this episode overwhelming praise for is weirdly the lighting, because this is one of those episodes where the stakes are so high and the mood is so somber that in a way pretty much something as simple as how the lighting of an episode is handled can make or break it. And in this case, Toa succeeded in making every single scene so atmospheric just from the colors of the sky and the dark backdrops of the land. Like if I were to find a certain term in order to describe my thoughts as a whole on just how this episode was on how this episode's artwork was done, it it really gave off the vibe that I was watching a Japanese western, if that makes any sense. It just had that vibe to it of this being a true last stand. And just from how epic it was in seeing Odin and the Yakuza 9 like take their final walk to destiny, but also equally as somber, seeing as how we all know how this is gonna end. So yeah, it's both it's such an epic and somber episode, and again the lighting just amplifies all that. One other thing I will say about the lighting as well is that I feel the anime weirdly built up the size and scope of Kaido's forces a little better. I mean, the manga did it amazingly as well, but I feel just from seeing just from seeing the scene of basically of the Yakuza 9 pretty much staring down like Kaido and his forces, and seeing that scene animated, I feel it kind of builds up the terror more and the overall grim reality of what the Yakuza 9 were basically up against the very first time they confronted Kaido. Like there's just this overall elevated sense of dread from just facing down such a pretty much overwhelming force of enemies, I think. And I think the anime, for the most part, really captured that. I mean, obviously there's obviously the I guess you could say the pretty much character models could have been a little better, obviously, but aside from that, there was just this genuine sense of dread to the episode that I really enjoyed. And yeah, obviously I can't let Kaido's line about a spy amongst Oden's ranks slip, because at this point the answer of who the spy is should be more than obvious to everyone watching the anime now. But if you still need a little bit more of a hint, go back to the early point of One Piece, where we basically see the Straw Hats and the Yakuza have almost an immediate pursuit on their hands, like an immediate pursuit for pretty much their capture. And you'll notice during these times there's always one person either missing from the group or left out of the manhunt each time. Like it is so obvious that it is so obvious that it's just right there in front of your face. Aside from that, though, all I can say anymore until the reveal is that I'm amazed I didn't pick up on it sooner, because the clues honestly of who the spy is were more than a couple ways, quite literally, right in front of my face the entire time that I was reading Wano in the manga, and I'm surprised I didn't even notice when reading these chapters for the first time. Aside from that, though, this is one of those episodes where, for the most part, the animation came across as okay, but then by the time we reached the end of the episode and the battle with Kaido, you say, okay, so you can say that's where the animation budget went for the episode. Like, honestly, when it comes to the fight animation in Wano nowadays, there are two levels I judge it: off the charts or psychotic. And the final moments in the episode definitely border on the psychotic. It was just that damn good. Well, I mean, I think they did cut a few corners in certain respects, but it was still just so overblown and epic. Such an overblown and epic display of each of the Yakuza 9s, while all at the same time just kind of giving us a pretty much full-on look of the Yakuza 9's like pretty much unique fighting styles as well. Like it still managed to give us like singular moments that were great within that whole war, I guess you could say. And one other small thing I do want to mention about this episode before I end the review is Yasui's sort of background role in it, because even though he had very few scenes in the episode overall, you can still see the sort of groundwork being laid for what would essentially become his long-standing legacy of overseeing the care of Wano and Oden's and the Yakuza 9 instead until their return. So it kind of shows that I think he somewhat knew. Like I guess Oden had kind of already told him in the letter he received or something, but even if Oden hadn't given all the details, you can almost kind of tell that Yasui, he kind of instinctively knew he would eventually die from just doing all this, and from just eventually die. But he wanted to do everything he could to protect Wano, and he wanted to protect Wano until their return. Again, unclear like how much he knew and didn't know, but. And how much he knew and didn't know would happen, but he definitely made preparations ahead of time for sure. But yeah, guys, that's really all I've got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Find me on Twitter, Analyst, Crunchyroll, and just be sure to hit the bell in order for notifications. Death Knight of Enemy, signing off. Later, guys.